Hey, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Bill Gross, the LA Probate expert. Welcome to a new program I just launched called Get Probate Cash. If you've been, well, just a little quick overview of who I am. I'm a real estate broker in Los Angeles, California. I'm building a national team of real estate agents. I'm a broker associate with eXp Realty. And probate cash, in my mind, is referring to advancing heirs, petitioners and or other heirs, beneficiaries, of probate estates, some of the money ahead of time for various reasons, whether it be to pay for attorney's fees or help them get some cash ahead of time, and how to use that in building our real estate business. Now, this program we're going to do, I'm going to do it weekly for half an hour like we are here today. And basically, it's going to be a high level overview. And at the end, I am going to offer, if anybody's interested, I'm looking to get a mastermind group of 10 seriously committed people who want to pay some fee to do some small group implementation of this material on a deeper level. And I'm going to be sharing the things I actually do in my business regularly and looking to build it as a group. The only criteria for that group is you have to pay, and I'll have anybody in from Los Angeles County unless you're on my team already, just because I'm not looking to help train my competitors in this particular area. It's a really powerful tool. If you've followed me or other probate coaches, you might be somewhat familiar with the idea of inheritance advances. I started as a real estate broker using the All the Leads training. And at the time, the coach was Chad Corbett, who's since left and found his own company, Probate Mastery. If you follow Chad over time, you'll see he's interviewed a couple people in a couple different companies that do this type of probate advance work. And maybe it's because the market I'm in is a little different. Maybe it's because it's more competitive, maybe because it's bigger. But I happen to have come across that particular product or service regularly in my business and saw a tremendous opportunity for business. One of the things I know is when participants aren't freely sharing information about their business and they're trying to hide it, there's probably extra value there as a business person. Where there's inefficiencies in the market, usually that's where you're going to find profits. So as a result of that, I started working into it, and I would approach companies. I found them, for the most part, kind of hard to get information out of, with one exception. One vendor I work with now and have done some business with. But in general, I find them not forthcoming as to what they're doing, how they do it. And it's almost as though there's some relationship they have already they're looking to protect. And so I'm not doing anything unethical, I wouldn't, or wrong, or criminal. The other issue on this type of loan is it is the nature of it kind of like a payday loan, in that it is for people who don't have access, don't have savings, don't have access to normal bank loans, don't have family members who can lend them money. As a result, it is expensive. I mean, as a percentage for the petitioner or the heir that's borrowing the money, it is a expensive way to get the money. It's not the ideal way. But for many people, it's a powerful tool that can be misused, but when used properly, can help somebody who otherwise is going to get ripped off get great attorney service rather than lousy attorney service, get an attorney instead of do it on their own, get the home sold in a timely manner instead of dragging out for an extra 6 months or a year, or worse, getting into litigation. So this is my experience of doing this now over, I guess with COVID, 3 years since I've been in probate business, about 3 years I've been involved with this particular product. And as a result, I found it to be a very powerful tool to use at the same time, like everything else, tricky to learn how to use. And so I've gone through some fits and starts, and I launched this program both to share with real estate agents my success and challenges with it, and hoping that we can work together and be more productive. At the same time, again, I'm looking to create a mastermind to take it a deeper level. That's my goal, is to take this product and go much deeper and be more effective at delivering to the marketplace. Now, how does it work? So there's a number of companies that offer this service, and they in their names have probate, cash, advance, inheritance. If you do Google searches, you'll find a number of them. Some of them are multiple brands of the same company. But how does it work is somebody is entitled to has an heirship, has a beneficiary interest in an estate. Doesn't have to be real estate. It could be stocks, bonds, it could be collectibles. I'm a real estate broker, so I'm looking for real estate. So most commonly, it's somebody who's inherited property, who has equity in a property but doesn't have cash. Not uncommon, grandma, grandpa pass, leave the house to the kids, the grandkids, who never owned a house before. Now they have, in my case in LA, a $500,000 to $1 million property. They don't have a dollar to their name. They were living there for years in many cases because they couldn't refinance it, couldn't sell it, not knowing or not being able to get it probated, to get the title changed from the decedent's name into their name. And so how does that work? And what I do then is try to get in the middle of that. And I found it very inefficient for me in the beginning, meaning I would help people find the probate cash. They'd use another realtor. I would help a client get the cash and find an attorney, and the attorney would not continue to refer business to me because I didn't control the process. I also found that some of these companies, because they weren't used to working in a competitive environment, their business was all based on Facebook leads and Google leads, where they're dealing with customers, and the service wasn't, their reputation wasn't as important to them as mine is to me. I live on my personal business reputation. I can't just change my company brand name and hide a bad experience. So I found it very difficult, but when it works, and what I've learned to do is to be able to work with a prospect, get the information, get them pre-approved on a game plan that the lender agrees to, that the customer agrees to, put that game plan together, and then get some money for them. Sometimes I can make a commission, and oftentimes I can connect the customer to an attorney, which creates a better relationship there, and get the household and get paid. So that's the game plan, what the product looks like and how it works. Now, one of the things I learned along the way was, I don't know how many of you, well, real quick, just show of hands, or put it in the chat box. What's your primary business? Are you a real estate agent or broker primarily, or an investor or a wholesaler primarily, or if you happen to be an attorney or petitioner, put that in. But while I'm an investor and I've done some wholesaling, I'm primarily a real estate broker. So my question is, what's your primary focus? If you could generate more of a certain type of business, I see realtor. Hey, Chris Eros, nice to see you as always. Kathy, real estate agent, great. Terry, both, is it 50-50 or is one more? Vince is an agent, so it looks like we have more agents here than anybody else. So I'll talk a little bit more. Dan's a realtor. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit more to Hildy is a real estate agent. We talked a little bit, good, thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit more towards realtors. Now this will deal with all people in the industry. And my goal is to be the educator of this product to what I call four, which would be the real estate agent salespeople, investor wholesaler, non-realtor salespeople, attorneys, and petitioners and heirs. And I have 4 modules to the program that we're going to talk about on the Mastermind program, and I'm going to overview them today. So why would you use me rather than go directly to one of those companies? You can go to those companies, they're available online. I had overall a bad experience. I found that they didn't follow up. They don't work in what I call realtor time, meaning when we send out papers, we expect them signed that day or the next day if they're Federal Expressed overnight. In some cases, they need a notary. Whereas other people, attorneys and these probate companies, advanced companies, they send a package and expect the customer to respond in 3 or 4 days, which is fine, but that's not how we work as real estate agents. That didn't work for my business. That wasn't the energy that I live in and will work for my business. So the speed wasn't there. And if the customer just never responded, they would never follow back up, and I lost control of the process. And so I had what I knew was a hot customer. I also know sometimes, and if you're a real estate agent, like most of you are, we all have the experience of, I'm sure, of a customer who goes to a lender to get pre-qualified. And we're excited. We have a great buyer. We know they're a little marginal, but we're excited because we want to help them. That's why we got in the business for many of us. And they go to the lender, and the lender basically just says, no, you're rejected, kicks them in the butt, throws them out the door, and never talks to them again. Who's had that experience besides me? Where the lender didn't treat your customer as though it was their customer, they just treat them as though they're a lead. And my experience with the Probate Advance was the same thing. They don't really treat overall, and I'm not disparaging anybody, and I know that we all try to do the best job we can, so I don't want to call anybody by name. But I can say as a general rule, I didn't find the companies treating my customers the way I treat them. They treat my customers the way they treat their prospects, and that's an important distinction. And so I would have customers who got declined by one company who, just like mortgage brokers, and I think if you're a real estate agent, you know the difference between a bank that only has one line of business, let's say Wells Fargo Bank. If you're a loan originator there, you can only offer Wells Fargo product. If they're declined, you can't help them, versus a mortgage broker who can take that same customer to Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo declines them, they might repackage it and send it to another investor and get it approved. So you're familiar with the concept of a broker versus a direct lender. And so just as in mortgages, where there is room for multiple channels or multiple styles or multiple methods of delivery, in this business, I think there is such a channel. Now, there are advanced companies that will sign you up and offer you a commission, but that commission is only for their product. And so what I'm trying to do is create a hybrid version where I've created for myself a brokerage where leads come in, and then I take them to multiple sources to get better execution and pricing. And then over time, I can help my sources, my real estate agents I work with, my investors, my attorneys, take over more of the commission as they need less from me over time. That's the goal of what we're creating right now. Feel free to jump in if you have any questions, put in the chat box. Okay, so I see, can you use it to help a senior move into a senior community until you sell the house? So yeah, Michael, this is the essence of it. We're going to talk a little bit about petitioners, but one of the reasons why people need cash is to move out of the property that we're going to sell. So we're going to talk about that for sure. And how to find the lead, how you know the beneficiary may be interested in our service. Well, Kathy, that's just what when we talk to people, when we talk to petitioners, oftentimes if they don't have an attorney, if they're pro se or pro per, and they're struggling with their case, that's where they might need some help for cash. Or they might tell you that they can't really sell the house because they don't have the money, or they're facing foreclosure, and you can get them some advance money to fix up. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Okay, so the other thing I would say is this market has been kept kind of quiet from where I sit. I do know of one company who went on Chad Corbett's networking a couple times. And I think it's because companies are coaching companies and companies are concerned that there's been abuse in this industry. There has been. There have been people who are, the typical rate is 50 to 100%, meaning the petition will get an advance of $10,000 and they'll have to pay back $15,000 or $20,000. That's a common, that range of price is fairly common. And you can imagine that if it's a standard thing that they can get money quickly, that can be very expensive. So it can be abused. I think also because the margins are high, the people in the business aren't looking for competition. And to me, when I see that, that gets me interested, and I'm looking for a competition. Okay, so the concept also of, well, let me continue. What I want to say is that there are 4 different target areas. You have difficult time to get them to give me their charge for the advance. Well, I'm not sure what that means. You had difficulty getting them to charge. If you want to unmute, maybe you can explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so let's see if am I on, Bill? Am I there? Okay.
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I called last week, who you're talking about, and I couldn't find on the website the charges, what it would take. I know it's not a loan.
Yeah.
And but it is a loan it disguised as an advance. So you can play with the terminology all you want. I come from a lending background, so
right, me too.
There's a cost for the money. So
right.
After belaboring the point for some time, they finally told me the charge was 100%.
Right.
So I didn't find it very forthcoming. It was difficult to get that kind of a conversation. It was not how I would want to be treated, nor I would want anybody I refer to them to be treated. So right. I find you spot on as always right there with your point.
Thanks. Yeah, that was my frustration. And the price changes. It's not always that amount. It depends on the circumstances. They're going to charge less if it's a great attorney, the attorney's set up and ready to go, if the case has been filed and they can verify the information, versus a prospective case where they don't yet have it filed. Maybe there is another error out there. Maybe the person talking to them is lying about it. And so there's different risk, and I appreciate why they would charge different prices. But again, you hit it, you said it yourself. This is not the way I want my customers treated. Maybe they're just a lead to them, and I can appreciate that. I don't treat leads that way either, because usually my leads are referred by customers. I'm a salesperson, they're not. And I think in most industries, people get into the business because they don't want to be salespeople. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So what I want to say is, and we have a little bit of time left. I want to overview. There's 4 different modules or 4 different directions that you can take this. And what I want to say is they're all what I would call 2 ways. Now, these 4 are the modules of a coaching program I'm offering. And I hope you've learned something so far today, and you will learn something in the next part as well. But when we're done today, I'm going to give the opportunity for 10 of you to join a mastermind and just be completely upfront. It's going to be 4 weeks, 1 week on each of these 4 modules, on how I've used them to build business, how I've used them to get paid on the probate advance, and more importantly, got paid by getting listings, developing relationships with the attorneys, and saying the leads to the attorneys, and controlling that process, and making it a fun process and a healthy process rather than one that's hidden. So I'm going to offer you that at the end if you want to join, and it's $499 for the 4 modules. It'll be on a weekly mastermind group format, but I'm only looking for people who are serious, and I know that when we pay money, we pay attention to it. So let me give you the 4 modules we'll talk about. I'll give you some kind of high-level overview. I'll explain to you what I call buy and for, going both ways, and then we'll take some questions, okay? So there's 4 different targets that you would use, or 4 different people who would use this. Most of you are real estate agents, but I want you to think about the other 3 groups, because the buy and for means not only can these 4 groups use the product, including you as a realtor, but it can be for all 4 groups. And if you happen to be a realtor, you want to learn how to teach investors and wholesalers and or attorneys and or personal reps or heirs how to use it, because if you show them how to use it, then they're going to do the heavy lifting for you, and you'll find business coming to you as an incoming referral rather than just you having to do it all on your own. And that's the goal of this process. So what I mean by that, it's a lot of fancy words, Bill. Slow down and let's go there. Number 1 is realtor. Obviously, as a real estate agent, if you're in the probate space, you are talking to petitioners or prospective petitioners regularly. You're either talking to people getting ready to file a petition for probate. They think they do. Their friend or neighbor gave them your name as a probate real estate agent because you're on social media or you're emailing out, or you put yourself out there. And people call you and say, well, I haven't filed yet. I don't know if I have to, but my concern is, who do I go to and what's it cost? And oftentimes people would come to me for referrals. Really, it wasn't so much a referral, but they talked to a couple attorneys who wanted in advance $5,000, $10,000 cash they didn't have, and they're looking for me to refer them to somebody that was cheaper or free. Now, I do recommend people oftentimes to cheaper, and some of you who follow me know I've worked with easy-probate.com, and they do a good job, not great. I don't want to mislead anybody here. I'm not part of the company. So I'll say I've used them. Like every vendor, there's good days and bad days, and there's good business and bad business. So they're cheaper. I much rather work with a local attorney because I have a relationship and can do more business with them on a regular basis. They cost a little bit more. So people call me as a real estate agent and say, who should I use as a probate attorney? Or, I'm not sure what to do here. I have a property that my grandma left me, and they wouldn't know, but I would help them understand that was a probate. What do they have to do? They need to file, and the steps would be find the attorney and pay for the fees. And so adding this into it, I could prepackage and say, look, rather than shop, because most people faced with a $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 bill are going to shop around and pick based on what? What's the number 1 criteria people are going to respond to most of the time when they shop around? Put in the chat box or yell out loud, what do you think it is? If they're going to call 3 attorneys, are they going to evaluate what law school they went to? Probably not. Are they going to ask them their score on the bar exam? Probably not. Best price. And oftentimes is the lower price the best service necessarily? Sometimes yes, most commonly no. Sometimes there's the lowest price and then there's good value, right? So depending on what you're buying in life, there's certain things at the cheapest store, let's say Walmart or dollar stores, that they're good enough and they're cheap and they work. But oftentimes some of the things they offer are just cheap and you could pay a little bit more and get better quality. Same with attorneys. Here's a statistic, and anybody who subscribes to any of the probate data services, I would urge you to do your own investigation in your county. sort the data by attorney. And then in Excel, you can subtotal. Now, if you're in another county outside of LA and you want me to do it for you, feel free to send me your data. I would be glad to do it for you and give you the results because I'd love to know the data. But what I learned in LA County, and this is true over time, 90% of the probate cases are done by attorneys who've done one probate in the last 12 months or less. 90% of the cases are done by probate attorneys who've done one deal or less. What does that mean? If a customer picks a probate attorney, 90% of the cases, you're talking to somebody who's not done one. And I've met some really smart attorneys, great attorneys, who've not done a probate in a year. And they just don't know the rules. And the problem, and I respect and love attorneys, but by their nature, attorneys are people who sound like they know what they're talking about when they know nothing about what they're talking about. It's one of the amazing skills of politicians who are all attorneys. Almost all politicians are attorneys. I don't know if you know that. But one thing about politicians is certainly true. They all sound like they know what they're talking about, and then most of them don't know anything. Attorneys might know a lot about the law. And so there's attorneys who are great, divorce attorneys who get an occasional probate. And they shouldn't take it, but they do. And they end up hurting the customer. And so the customer will call them and say, we do a probate. And the attorney, maybe his business is light that month, and he'll look at his bank account and say, yeah, sure, I'll do it. It's an easy $10,000. It's not easy. They don't get paid till the end, in California, till the very end. So the customer shopping is not the right way to pick. I'm a professional. I'm in this space every day. I've met scores of probate attorneys personally. I've done deals with scores of probate attorneys personally. I know the good ones and bad ones when I see them. And so much better for me as a professional to help guide the customer, and they're looking for that guidance. And if we can remove the price from the consideration. Now, as a real estate agent, I have a customer for the attorney set up the way that I want the attorney to appreciate me. Now, I don't want to mislead you. You can give customers attorneys and never get any leads back, partially because they don't do that much. Partially because they don't, again, some don't do that many probates. And the ones that do 10 a year or 20 a year. Some of those are coming referred by other real estate agents already. So it's not like necessarily you give them one probate, you're gonna get 100 back. If I get one back for each one I give out, I feel pretty good about it. But I want everyone to be one back. Does that make sense? If you'd be on board, if getting one probate listing back for every referral you gave to an attorney with a customer who took a case out would be an improvement, put in the chat box yes. And if the answer is no, put no. But for me, I gave out a lot more leads to attorneys that they got paid on than I got listings for a long time until I mastered this particular topic. Okay, so that's the realtor piece. So as a real estate agent, I want to learn how to do this. We're going to talk about how to make that work. Investor, wholesaler. So investors and wholesalers, and particularly, I saw one day one of the top investor coaches or teams in the country is Pace Morby, Pacemorby. And he does, I think, a really good job, has a great YouTube channel. His most famous thing is sub-to or subject to purchases, which I think are something as realtors we need to learn. Great opportunity for growth, great tool to learn, to specialize in. And no realtor, I think, in the country I know is specializing in it. But he has a number of different tools in his toolbox, and he refers to something called gator lending. Gator as in wrestling with an alligator, difficult lending. And he uses gator lending to describe the pre-probate, getting money for that customer to file the probate, handle the attorney, and to control the wholesaler, the investor. And so for investor wholesalers, this is gator lending by Pace Morby. It's also, you're going to meet people as you do your driving for dollars or your other prospecting methods who have property, the title's defected because somebody, one of their predecessors passed, title has to be changed, has to be done in probate, and they need the money to do that. So investors, wholesalers, but one of the things that I've done is I've given my data. There's some sellers allow you to resell it, some don't. Make sure you know the rules. But I've given the data to investors who will cold call and look for people who are either pro se, and pro per, meaning they don't have an attorney, or been open for a while, and ask or call the beneficiaries would be interested in an advance inheritance. And typically with a $10,000 advance, the advance company will pay a total commission of $1,000, about 10% of the advance amount. And I offer half of that to anybody that I work with. So as an investor or wholesaler, they'll make $500. Not a lot, but if you make phone calls for, say, I don't know, 25 hours in a week, you got $500, that's $20 an hour to, as an investor, get started. But keep in mind, that's paid lead generation because that same customer is going to need their house sold. And so if you're an investor, or wholesaler, or a real estate agent, I call that paid lead generation. Now I make more than $20 an hour, so I don't make those calls. But so this is the form. If you're a real estate agent, you can teach investors, wholesalers, how to prospect for this business. And then they bring you back the lead to sell the real estate. And yes, you make a little bit of the commission. They'll make some of the commission. You can figure all those numbers out on your own for your own business. For my business, I offer 5%, and I'm going to offer anybody who takes the program who wants to work with me 5% of the advanced amount they get. And do that with me once or twice, learn the business, and do it on your own. I'm fine with that. But my goal here is to help more people do this to generate more real estate business. So that's investors, wholesalers. Attorneys, obviously. I saw this great Facebook ad and then a webinar by Empirical 360. They're a marketing company targeting attorneys where they help attorneys build lead funnels. And what they teach is that attorneys should use Facebook ads and Google ads to generate probate leads that come in, and then they have a screening, and then they have a phone call, and it's a lead funnel. So however many leads you have equals so many cases. The problem with it is that attorneys oftentimes are concerned about getting paid, and also customers are concerned about the price. And so what I've been able to do is say to attorneys, don't worry about the price. I'll get them enough money where the customer is less concerned about the price. They're more focused on the value. Not throwing money away. We don't want to cheat them. But this way they can make a decision on the best attorney rather than what's the cheapest alternative. And they don't have to figure out where to get the money if we can offer it to them up front. And sometimes when the customer's getting $1 million, an extra 5 or 10,000 isn't a big deal. And in my professional experience, a great attorney can save them way more than $5 or $10,000 over the course of a year. If they can avoid litigation, they're worth $50,000 perhaps. If they can expedite the sale by months, it's worth the money difference. So again, sometimes people say it's a lot of money. I would say if you can get the probate done quickly, efficiently, avoid litigation, you've really saved your customer multiples of that extra cost. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to teach attorneys. I'm going to record, when we do these modules, I'm going to record them for attorneys as well, with the idea that those in the mastermind can then either use our video or use what I'm teaching, just like I did, to teach their attorneys how to use this to bring them the leads for the probate advance, and also help them close more of their cases, more into cases from the prospects. And the fourth is personal representatives and heirs. And I think that's kind of obvious at one level, right? You have people who are looking to file probate. They don't know what to do. They need help. They need maybe an attorney. They need to clean out the house. They need to evict somebody, whatever it is, mortgage payments, tax payments, all those things. But also heirs. And one of the things I found, I'll just give a quick overview of a topic, is sometimes you have brothers fighting and the person is an heir. As realtors, we don't look at them for the business because why? Because there's no attorney involved in most cases. But sometimes the heir would like an attorney, they just don't want to spend the money. They'd like an attorney to what I call ride shotgun, or ride along the case and make sure that they don't get cheated. And I had one attorney one time say to me, why does it matter if your heir gets an attorney or not? At the end of the day, the probate is going to have to be done, and the attorney is going to have to distribute the funds for the customer, and it's going to get done properly. And I said, because it's going to be 2 years before she gets paid. And she's not going to sleep at night worried about her $500,000. And by hiring you and paying you, a $5,000 fee and a $10,000 advance total, she's going to know you're on the job protecting her $500,000 every day. And so now heirs become both prospective customers. You can make a little bit of money on them, but more importantly, opportunities to bring business to attorney clients of yours or develop new attorney relationships. So again, teaching the heirs that, hey, you don't have to put the money up front. And by the way, if you get cheated out of your interest, you don't have to pay it back because these are non-recourse advances. So to the heir, it's really a no-lose proposition. If they're going to get value from it, great. And if they don't get any money, maybe they're not entitled to it, they don't have to pay it back because they're non-recourse. Okay, so those are the 4 modules: realtors, investor wholesalers, attorneys, and personal reps and heirs. And then again, it's by them. How should a realtor use this product? How does an investor wholesaler use it? How does the attorney use it? And how does a personal rep or heir use it? And then for those people, how does an attorney teach a realtor? How does an investor work with a realtor? How does a realtor work with investors? And teach the investor how to do it on his own to bring them business? How does a realtor teach the attorney to do it to bring them business? How does the attorney teach the personal reps and heirs to bring them business? So that's the idea of the buy in 4. There's 4 different modules. Each one's a half hour, but I've lined out the specific methods and systems I've used to turn that into business. Now, I will say I've done about 4 or 5 of these a year. And so I've made, thousands of dollars, $2,000, $3,000 a year. It's not a lot of money. Again, I consider it more paid lead generation. But on this program, I'm offering this at a cost of $4.99 for 4 modules. I'm going to give you a money back guarantee at the end. If you don't think you'll get the money back, fine. But I only want to work with people who are serious because I know that you should, on your first time you use this product, you're going to get paid back $500 or more easily. And if you're at a higher price area and they get $20,000 or $30,000, you get more. And by the way, if they come out initially for $10,000 or $20,000 and come back for more, you get paid your commission on that customer going forward. So these are great programs. You can do it on your own, or we can work on it together. That's kind of what I have to present, other than the details of the coaching program. So let me just finish up with questions, and then if you're interested in more, I'll talk about what more looks like. Let's see. That'd be improvement. Yes. Okay. Is there any data showing how many beneficiaries get probate advance or are looking for realtor? So I don't know how to answer that because I asked Kathy a great question. How many beneficiaries get probate advance? I don't have access to that data. I found a title rep who claimed to have the data. He was just basically scraping it, but I still haven't received it. So I'd love to find out that data, how many get advances. I'll say this, virtually every litigated case I've ever seen has an advance because somebody needs more money than they plan on, whether it be for legal fees or just to get some cash ahead of time. So I don't know how to answer that, but I would say a lot. That's why I'm doing this. And I think there's room, but I also think there's room for a lot more. I was shocked. I was asked to be a guest. For those of you who know who Rylas Dana is, he's an attorney out of Arizona and California. He was a guest on Chad Corbett's call. He invited me to come on to a mastermind he does for attorneys. And I was talking about in general probate, and I brought up the probate events. He didn't know about it at the time. He had never heard of it. Not only that, he works with the Pace Morbius group. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't know there was such a concept. I'm just saying he didn't know it as a tool to use as an attorney or a realtor to generate business. He'd never heard that concept before. So Kathy, I don't know the answer to your question. I'd love to get the answer to your question, but I'll say this, there's room for a lot more and I'd like to get my share of it. And I also think that people have few options, and I'd like to present more options to give more opportunities to my customers. And then how many beneficiaries are looking for realtor? We know that about 80% of probate cases have real estate that's going to be sold. Not 100%, but about 80%. It's a pretty standard number. Terry says probate advance, but also lending for many other situations. Well, there is lending for trustees and for fiduciaries. That's another industry, another business. Personally, I've never been involved with it. I've seen it. I've been involved with cases where they did it, but I've never personally been involved in doing that. I think they reach out directly as well. Maybe it's something I would, if I met a guy or gal who offered that service, I would talk to them, but I've never found a person that offers that and is looking for more. I would be glad to interview them on my YouTube or my Probate Weekly. Larry Smith, can I send you the link to join? Yeah. So I'll email to you for sure, Larry, and I'll post it in the probate group as well. You're the XP. Everybody who registered for this call, you'll get an email with a link to the recording because some people didn't make it, and you get a link to join. When the class is scheduled to start, I'll get in that second. When the class will be scheduled for I need to make sure it fits in. Of course it does. It has to fit in. So we're going to continue. I'm going to continue to do this for half an hour a week, kind of what I'm going to call an overview call, and answer questions for people interested. Obviously, to promote maybe the next group, I'm looking to launch the first group of this program. I have the dates here in front of me. Let me find them real fast. So here's the offering. If you want to continue with this, I do every week, Probate Weekly, Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Register for free, probateweekly.com. Love to have you on there, answer questions. We're going to do this call every week on Wednesdays at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. As long as it's of value to people, I'll continue to do a higher level overview and answer questions. But if you want to be in a mastermind, I'm capping this at 10 people. It's going to be launched on Thursdays at 2 p.m. starting next Thursday, September 15th. We're going to do 4 sessions weekly, this 15th, 22nd, 29th, and October 6th. They'll all be recorded. Ideally, you'll be on at least 3 or 4. Nobody ever gets to all 4 of a small group. I built a business from mortgage professionals on small group coaching. I really studied the material, and my partner still runs it. And I find that small group masterminds, 8 to 12 people, are best for installing content. So what I'm not doing is motivation. I'm not doing accountability. I'm not coaching people. What we're going to be doing is just like a football team installs their offense, we're going to install content. We're going to go through 4 modules, one on real estate agents, one on investor wholesalers, one on attorneys, and one on personal reps and heirs. And my goal will be for you to write out to-do action items, to-dos on each of those areas, implement them in your business, and then bring them back each week to talk about them and to work together on that. So this is not coaching, this is installing content. I'm a consultant. We're only have 10 people. All will be recorded. And then we'll have a private Facebook group just for members of this program and future classes to share. You'll also get a lead intake form that you can give to your partners to fill out for you. So if you're working with attorneys and such, you'll also get, I'll give you the opportunity to be an affiliate where you get 5% of the advanced amount. So on a $10,000 advance, you get $500. It's not all the money in the world. And you can get a better deal doing it on your own, but this way you don't have to do it on your own. You would send me the lead. My assistant would get it vetted, pre-approved, bring it back to you, and then let you do the selling to build your business. I'll have sample forms so you can be familiar with what the forms look like. 100% money back guarantee. If you're not happy for any reason, just email me. Please refund me. I'll refund your money. I'm not looking to create any enemies in this business or people who are happy. I want people who are happy. I will say it's not a get rich quick. You have to do the work. This is about putting this action into your business and generating business. But here's what I'll tell you. I am confident if you do what we're going to talk about, if you do what I just talked about today for 30 days, and you can figure out on your own, you'll get back the money right away. If we do it with the 4 modules I'm going to give you, and you follow up on any of it at all, you'll easily get back one case that will pay for the coaching. But more importantly, again, it's paid lead generation. Not only will you get the $500 back, ideally, or more, but you have a customer who needs an attorney. You have a customer who needs to sell a house, and that's the business that we're in. So if you're interested, the only next step is just to pay for it. I have a link for you if you want to sign up through Stripe to pay for it there. I don't really have any kind of fancy marketing material on it because that's just not my style. If you know me, that's not my style at all. But again, 100% money back guarantee. If you're interested, we're going to be launching it a week from Thursday. Okay, questions? Anybody that's call, you'll get a link to the recording and you'll get a link to the payment to sign up. And you can use a credit card or whatever you want to use. Any questions? And again, I'm just looking for 10 people to work on this together. This is not about getting started in your real estate practice. This is people who have a business, and you can be starting a business in this area. You could start as a gator lender, as an investor, and just cold call leads. And ideally, you could bring in your partners to this coaching. You could bring in an investor wholesaler who's going to cold call your leads. So that would be a great way to make it work. But I'm not seeing any questions here. I went a little longer than I thought I might. Anybody? No? Bueller? Anybody know that reference? Okay, look, I think I covered it all. I feel like I did. I would love to have you guys participate if you're interested. Feel free to click on the link. If you have some questions, text or email me. I am going to do this again next week. Same time, same channel. I'm going to overview the material and be available to answer questions if you're interested. So we're going to do this weekly, as long as it's of value, as long as I get an audience. I'd love to participate, love to share with you guys about all things probate. And if you're not on this call next week, also I do Probate Weekly tomorrow, Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. I think that means it's 1 p.m. in Hawaii for Michelle. So hope you guys can make it. Thank you so much for being on the call today. Reach out if I can help you, and make today your best day ever. Thank you, everybody.